What's going on, guys? This is the DeFi Crypto Alliance show where we're doing our best to be the bridge between our other investor friends and entrepreneurs into crypto, where we feel like crypto is the biggest life-changing, massive opportunity over the next few years, and it's not even close. So welcome. We're pumped to have you guys this morning. Corey, take it away.
Absolutely. Corey Geary here in the beautiful, beautiful island of Puerto Rico. Just having a great time enjoying these green candle days that we've been seeing. And where we're going to use, cryptocurrency as a wealth creation tool and use real estate as a wealth preservation tool. And we feel like the rich and hard ecosystem is probably one of the greatest opportunities out of the whole space. So this is the space that we're going to utilize with us, our family, our friends, our investors, entrepreneurs alike. And we're just going to have a blast, changing theirs and their families' lives. So it's been an absolute, blessing to be here.
Absolutely. One of the things that as we're starting to see, well, let's start with some of the charts so we can talk about the green candles. While I'm pulling this up, it's interesting to look at a portfolio or to look at my personal portfolio as we're starting to see some of the stuff come to life on the price charts and consider about how my portfolio is built, if I'm satisfied with the allocations, some of those types of things. So I think it'd be healthy today to talk about allocations for a portfolio, things to consider. Of course, nothing we talk about on here is ever financial advice. This is just our thoughts and how we're building our own portfolios. And you guys make sure you do your own due diligence and think for yourself on how to build yours.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's I'll shine some light a little bit on how I do mine. Usually, when I'm looking at new protocols or getting involved into an ecosystem or just a new project on its own, I will look for what does it take for me to become the sea creatures of the protocol, which basically, if you guys don't know what that is, it's like it's just a gauge of how much of the supply you own. For example, a whale owns 1% of the supply. A shark is 0.1%. A dolphin is 0.01%. And then squid is 0.021. And then there's like shell and I don't know, shrimp. I'm not sure what order they go into that because I never try to go that low. But so that's usually what I do is I try to achieve for a sea creature in the protocol or the actual ecosystem I'm trying to get into, unless it's Pulse. Because with Pulse, I'll never be satisfied with how much I have in that bag. Like I can always hit a goal for Pulse X or for example, let's Fiat or Fame. And I'm satisfied with whatever sea creature I have. But like with Pulse, I'm not satisfied ever with the position. I will always keep accumulating as long as we have this time period of the accumulation.
That's fair. And why is that? Talk about. I think it's an interesting conversation. Talk about why that is.
Well, because I feel like
beliefs behind that thought.
It is the layer one blockchain. It's where everything is built on, and everything will be measured against Pulse. And so it's like the early days, nothing outperformed Ethereum in the early days. Nothing outperformed any of the layer ones in the early days. If you look at Phantom, if you look at BSC, if you look at Avalanche in its first cycle, typically the layer one is the best performance out of the whole ecosystem. And look how it evolves to, like in Ethereum, when you get into a new protocol, how do you measure getting into that? Well, you say it's 3 ETH or it's a half an ETH. You never measure it in USDC value because the layer one is where basically the store of value is held at for the entire ecosystem. So in the future, it's going to be like, oh yeah, it's only 1 million pulse, or maybe it's 5 million pulse. And that's how everything will be measured against. And because it's the layer one, it's the foundation of the whole entire system. So for that being said, I can't have enough of that. I feel like there will be hardly much that will outperform Pulse. In the short term, you're going to have runs where things will outperform it, but let's give it 2 years and let's see what was the breadwinner at the end of the movie. And my money's on Pulse.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Okay, so I pulled up Fatty. Fatty's a great resource in my opinion
Love Fatty.
for all things Pulsechain, as far as pricing and the portfolio tracker and some different things there. In fact, as far as portfolio trackers, I was trying, man, I can't find a really good tracker that will. I tried Pulse Burn as well, their portfolio tracker. I can't find a good tracker that will also show my LP positions. So if you guys know one, we'd love to hear about it. Feel free to post it in the comments.
It's not also won't show your validator positions either, Dane. It takes those. Yeah,
right.
You just have to like kind of.
Well, the validator is different though because it's in a different wallet, so I haven't added that. But like,
even if it's in the same wallet, it won't show it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I've done it.
Interesting. The LP positions seem like that should be fairly straightforward to show. At one point, like I've seen them when I was in the Pulsex, some of the farms on Pulsex, it was showing initially in Fatty, and now it's not. I don't know why.
Yeah, it's in another smart contract. I mean, there's got to be a way to do it that's not overly complicated, but I can see where, because technically the funds are not in your wallet, right? They're inside the contract in the decentralized exchange. Just how when you're running a validator, it's inside the smart contract of the blockchain. It's staked inside, right? It's not in your wallet. Now, the fees that you earn to your wallet from validating, that money that's accumulating in your wallet, that is shown, but not the 32 million Pulse, for example, that it takes to run a validator. That is not shown. So
sure. Sure. So cool. So you guys can see, I mean, the last 24 hours, we'll just sort this by so we can see some of the biggest winners. So, I mean, some of the Hex perpetuals are doing great along with Hex. Hex on Ethereum has almost broken a penny, which is interesting. PHEX is at over 2 cents, and this gap continues to widen. I mean, it's more than 2 to 1 right now, which is fascinating to watch. And I know, Corey, you and I, we feel like this gap is fairly likely to continue to widen in the benefit of PHEX. Do you have any? Is that
no? It's a very
there.
Yeah, seems to be a very controversial topic still. I don't know why, dude. It's like Twitter is just retarded. I'm going through it this morning. It's like, oh my gosh. I mean, the people on there are just at each other's throats over this. And like, guys, who cares? Whatever. The market's going to decide. It's going to do its thing. Yeah, man. I'm very much in the camp that I think PHEX will do far better than EHEX. Will EHEX be? I don't think EHEX is dying though. I don't think it's going to die. It's not going anywhere. It might even produce more yield in the long run because, you know, as people are not participating over there and people are EESing and then they're not restaking, you're going to get more yield over there, but you're not going to have the price appreciation. I personally would rather have the price appreciation, but that means my current stakes will probably get more yield. I'm not going to EES them. And yeah, I think PHEX will be the winner, man. I mean, that's just, I don't see how it won't be.
Sure. No, we agree. Man, so a couple of interesting things here that I've been paying really close attention to. The first is this freaking PHUX chart.
I hate it.
Man, I would like to acquire more, but like this freaking chart. So here we are on the daily.
We had a correction a few days ago, and oh no, man, no.
Look at this thing. It's straight up. It's wild.
That is a horrible chart.
It's wild. Oh, it's just straight up and to the right.
It's just straight up to the right with like nothing. Like, where's the law of memes in that thing?
And I don't feel comfortable acquiring at these levels, but I've been saying that on every candle, and it just keeps going up. So I don't know. I'm just being patient, getting the airdrops, farming some, and
exactly
with that. Yeah,
exactly.
Another is the so fiat here. Fiat is interesting. This is one I'd be all right. Once again, you guys, no financial advice. This is just my own thoughts and Corey's as well. Are we on the daily? Let's see. Yep, we're on the daily chart. So this one's interesting in that they should be launching their protocol probably this month or next.
Mm-hmm.
And so what in fact, what do you think about that, Corey? When they launch the protocol, is that a sell the news event, or do you think we'll see more pumping here?
I think you're going to see both. I bet you we see a sell off, and then it's as the protocol is going along, moving its way through, like you'll start to see it pump back up again, and it's going to go to it's going to do some amazing numbers. I think. I mean, I don't know, and then the FOMO will wear off. You know what I mean? Just like anything else, because the fiat protocol right out of the gates not going to produce you like 200% APY, right? It's going to take a while for the thing to kind of like get its feet, get its bearings, and kind of start, doing something and actually creating yield for you. So there could be a bit of a buy the rumor, sell the news, and then as time goes on, you'll see a sell off because people will get bored of it. They're not making yield. And then maybe as time moves on beyond that, then it'll start to go back up again, because we saw that kind of play out in E-Fiat. And that's why I'm kind of coming to that conclusion. We saw E-Fiat jump up to like 70 cents or whatever it was, and then it came down, and now we're sitting around at 11 or 12 cents, which if you were wanting to accumulate some E-Fiat, this is probably a good time, because the FOMO wore off, and it hasn't really got its sea legs yet. It hasn't done a lot of like, you can't earn a lot of yield on it yet because there's not a lot of activity. And so I think we might see some similarities. Maybe not quite the sell-off because we are on Pulsechain, not in Ethereum. But still, I think it could be an indicator. Could. Who knows? We don't know. But look at that. It rocketed up at launch, and then it came back down and found a floor. And it's been on that floor there.
This one, and I apologize, this one is Tetra. I know we got red
Oh,
squirrel on,
okay.
so I figured I'd pull this one up too. Should I go back to fiat?
Well, no, E-Fiat is the one I was talking about. It rocketed up, and you don't even have to pull it up if you don't want, but it rocketed up to 70 cents, and it came down and it found the floor somewhere around the 10-cent range. And it's just been chilling in that area now for this period of time.
This chart doesn't show the whole thing on
this chart, it's not showing the whole activity of the since launch. So I feel like PFIA could have some similarities once launch happens, but who knows? I could be wrong too. Maybe it shoots up to $1 like all his other freaking protocols, and it just never comes back down again.
Seriously, it's wild.
Maybe it pulls a Fox, and at that point, it's like you never know, and that's why it's always good to DCA and accumulate yourself some. Make sure if you believe in that protocol that you are DCA and accumulating some, even though it could be some green candles. Be careful on how much you are buying those green candles, but if you just don't know, you don't.
Right. We look at the Tetra chart as well. So here's on the daily, and you could see it had a nice little pump. It's finding some retracement here. What are we at?
Yeah, and it's at a floor.
2, 3. 3 zeros and a 5, almost.
Which is kind of funny, Dane, because the floor on Ethereum when this launched was 3 zeros and a 3. So it's like the market is pricing in that we are getting closer to launch, right? Because there's been activity. You know, they went from Ethereum now to Pulsechain. Then there's these updates coming out. Red Squirrel just said the chat. The website has been updated on Tetra, so things are happening. And so and to me that reflects in the chart, because from decimal 303, now we're at decimal 305, and it's just kind of coasting.
Right. Yeah, so we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We're on the 12th day, so we've got some action there. It's interesting to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one of my more excited, like if they pull that off, it's probably like the most excited I'll be about a protocol once I see the kind of the thing all come out and then they pull it off and it's working, and I'm able to plug in Red Squirrel's roadmaps or Neil for T-Shares or Crypto Sloths or any of those guys and it's working and doing its thing, man, that is so bullish for that ecosystem, man. We'll have to see how that plays out, but I'm super excited to see this come to fruition.
Me too. I'm with you there. It'll be cool. All right, so we've talked about it here a bunch of times, but I think it's important to rehash and revisit. So Corey and I feel really similarly in that everything on the layer one blockchain is measured in terms of the layer one blockchain, and there's typically not many things that outpace the layer one.
In the early days.
In the early days, right.
In the early days, yeah.
Now, that being said, I feel like we've had some really strong founders and builders in the community that are creating some cool things. We just went over the PH ecosystem and the things they have going on there. We're big believers in that. We talked about Tetra a little bit. That one could have some really interesting upside. If you look at previous price charts, like Fiat is a fork of Aave, and Aave did like a 660x run in its first cycle, which was pretty freaking nuts.
Anything over like 50 to me blows my brain up.
Man,
I can't comprehend the amount of like that drastic of a. And I know a lot of people in the chat have experienced the 500x, and I've never experienced a 500x before, so it's hard for me to like think about a 600x on Aave and like and having a few $1,000s in that protocol in the early days. And seeing that thing, and that's assuming you hold, right? Like you got to hold. Like not everyone got the 600x.
No.
Like some people like saw the 10x and they push sold. Some people saw the 50x and they push sold, right? It's like you got to hold, and that's the other equation of the puzzle. It's not just the price chart.
I mean, that's $1,000 into $600,000. It's wild.
Dude, that's just stupid. Like
for
a lot of people, that's life changing.
Oh, absolutely.
$600,000.
I would, especially 1,000 into 600. That would put a dent in some things for most people.
You can't even go to a casino in Vegas and hit like the jackpot, like to kind of get those kind of gains a lot of times. And then when you do, then they're gonna hit you like on all kinds of other taxes and whatever else. Like it's.
Yeah. Right. Oh, Red Squirrel. Yeah, had a whale dump. Now Shark is exiting. Okay, interesting.
Now a shark is exiting. Wow, that's crazy, Red Squirrel. So before we even know what's going on in the ecosystem, what a time to. I guess if you're going in with only the pure speculation, that's it, and not worried about the protocol. I guess that makes sense.
Because I think you're up from the sack right now, aren't you?
Well, I didn't sack. I bought it on Ethereum at the 3 zeros and a 3.
Right.
So I'm up. Yeah, I'm up on my bag because it's 305. But yeah, I was not in the early days of Tetra when they had what was it? They had some kind of crazy, like some kind of L1 token and L2 token. They had this crazy game theory going on. I can't remember exactly anymore what it was.
Right. Cool. All right. So Pulse is everything will be measured in Pulse on Pulsechain. I think that it's an asymmetric upside, especially with Richard Hart's stuff. I mean, we feel really confident that that stuff has very high upside with very limited, especially right now, very limited downside. We feel confident that there's not going to be a big rug pull where the liquidity is gone and the project disappears. None of that type of stuff. And Richard, time and time again, has shown that he's after some pretty ambitious goals. So really like that. What are your thoughts, Corey, in respect to never mind. Let's not go that direction.
Hex outperforming Pulse or something like that? Because that's one of the other narratives out there.
It
has been in the short term.
It has been.
I just think it will until it won't anymore. There's going to be a time when Pulse will have its day in the sun. Right now, these are all the Hexakins buying Hex. You know what I mean? These are the diehard Hexakins. But Pulse is going to get, in my opinion, more adoption in the long run. It's going to be the Trojan horse for Hex. So it will help Hex in the long run to break down those gates. from the gatekeeping them with the headsets I've seen so long. But man, I think Pulse, midterm, meaning market cycle, I don't, and I'd be willing to put money on it, man. I just don't think anything's going to outperform it.
Even with all the money sacrificed early on, you don't think hardly anything's going to outperform Pulse?
There could be the anomalies of like Fox or Fiat or one of these really micro caps that can do it.
But most will not.
You're going to have most of them that won't. And then you take the other large caps. To me, a large cap is Hex in comparison. It's the same like market cap. Pulse X is the same market cap. Like those are the same market cap. So like if you take anything that's same market cap and compare it, I don't think it will. And then most of the these side projects won't. And then you have some that will. You will have a Fiat that will. Maybe you have a Mintra that will. That could happen. It could happen because they're micro caps and they can move a lot quicker. It's the whole Buck Fiat rule, right? But after listening to B Roots and Buck Fiat go at it the other day, it was great, by the way.
That was great.
Not like they were going at each other's throats. They actually did it in a respectable manner that I wish people would do in Twitter, because they actually debated like adults. That doesn't happen in our space, I swear. I don't know why. God, I don't know why. But they actually were very cordial. It was a very entertaining space, and they had a lot of good talking points. I feel like B Roots won the debate. He had a lot of data and talking points that Buck did not have, because Buck is from the traditional finance world, and B Roots, man, he's only from crypto, bro. Like that's his history. He's a crypto bro. And so B Roots, he had made me a lot more bullish on Pulse, and just being around these guys out here too and doing chain analysis. I really feel like, and you guys don't hold me to this, okay? I'm a dude on the internet making speculation, but I think Pulse can easily at minimum do 100x, and that's conservative. And that's my speculation, guys. So don't hold me to that.
From sack rate?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's, take that for what you will, but that's how I'm playing my hand. Now, if I get a 20x, am I going to be pissed off? Hell no. And am I going to wait for the 100x? Hell no. I'm going to play the market cycle and go by market sentiment and making sure I'm exiting my bag when I'm going to Q4 of 24, all the way maybe up to Q1 of 26, making sure that I'm playing the market cycle game and not like, oh, I need the 100x game. No, I'm not going to play that game. So if I got a 20x, I'll be happy. But I really believe, man, I think we're going to get 100x at minimum, bro. I really do think it. It's and so how many of these small little ones will do 100x? Maybe 1 out of 10. What would your guess be? Maybe 2 out of 10? I don't know. What does 100x or more?
Well, you could even just look at the protocols that had sacrifices and say how many of them are even going to launch. I mean,
don't scare me, bro. I have money in Mintra. Okay, can you stop?
I mean, seriously, how many do you think there's? 10? 10 of the?
Yeah, man. I think
20,
there's
30.
We were going through it the other day on our show. I know there's Mintra and Win-Win that I'm in that I have not seen anything from. And I thought there was one other one too.
I saw Gerardo apparently won on. I didn't watch it, but apparently he won on a stream. I think it was yesterday.
Oh, he did. He did
for today.
I didn't watch it. I need to watch that because, like I said, I'm an investor in that, so I need to know what's going on there. I need to go in there. I have high hopes, man, for everything because we're still so early.
Right.
Come end of the year and we don't see nothing, then I'm gonna start thinking like, yeah, that's a rug pull, right? Or the founder ran off with our money, whatever you want to call that. It's not really a rug pull. Rug pull is when you pull the liquidity, but still, it's you have to grab the money and run. And I do believe, unfortunately, it's just crypto, so we are going to see some of that. That's just how it is, man. It's a game. It's a game we play.
I'd be willing to bet. I think that only 20 or 30 of the protocols for every 100 that did a sacrifice will actually launch. And I would say
that's bad odds.
That's what I think. And I think the ones that you're in have a really good chance to launch.
I hope so. We'll see though. If I lose out on one, man.
Yeah. Right. And I think of the number of those that actually do launch. So let's say like, let's go. And once again, I'm just a dude on the internet. I could be way off. Let's say 30 out of every 100 actually launch. How many of those are well built, good
100x or more.
protocols?
How much are 100x or more?
I think it's less than 10.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say less than 10%
Yeah.
will put up those types of numbers. I really
I
think
agree.
that's the case.
That feels about right. Where I can just put my money in Pulse and be like, I'm good.
Right. This is a good one. So on crypto tops in 2025, what's your plan to DC out of positions? Do you plan on selling everything at once or selling a percentage of your portfolio each month? Go to MetaMask and do a MetaMask swap, one big giant swap of your entire portfolio, and you're out.
Hey, you might get the airdrop if you do that.
That's right. No, I'm just kidding. Don't go do that. There's insane fees over on MetaMask.
Don't do that at all.
Yeah. So as far as things stand right now, I mean that'll be a DCA out and an LP thing to LP our ways out. There should be. I mean, I'd be willing to bet that I think that we'll see, some Uniswap V3 forks where you can go and you have a lot more dynamic liquidity providing there, where you can get out of your positions without incurring slippage and some of those types of things. And then especially with things like Tetra, you can set it up where you can create your liquidity, and then once it hits certain points that you may want it to hit, you can have Tetra implemented so it'll go and pull what you want it to pull and whatnot. And that actually, I'm really excited about that application of Tetra.
Absolutely. And I'll touch on that always growing. Just how we don't know where the bottom is at, and that's why we DCA all throughout the bear market. The same thought process should be in the bull market. You don't know where the top's going to be. You don't know if we're going to get front run and we're going to see like the My Friend Saw Me type of event where it goes up on Q4 of 24 and that's the high, front running the Bitcoin. But like we don't know, right? So and maybe it's not the 26 because the way the Feds raise the interest rates, we just don't know, and we have to admit to ourselves we don't know. So we want to DCA out too, or provide liquidity, which is essentially doing the same thing, except for that you're becoming the market maker on the way out. And so you DCA your way out over the course of a year, maybe a year and a couple months, and that way you can get an average of the bull market top.
Right. I think you had, in fact, if you go and you look, I can pull it up here. But if we go back and we look, I mean, we could even use something like we can use Hex. Let me go ahead and pull this up real quick. All right. What was that website we were using more recently, Corey? I thought it was cointrader.pro.
Were you looking the one with the charts that have the history of like?
Oh, here it is. I found it.
You found it?
Yeah.
And credit to it was Paul Sachs who had given that to us.
Okay. Yeah, this one has been really useful.
Yeah, it shows the history way before like what CoinMarketCap has, or even like TradingView. TradingView, you can find all your charts on there. You just have to know what pair. So you have to build. You have to build your chart. You have to build it. All the history isn't there, but you can build it.
All right. Let me go ahead and share my screen here. All right. Man, I think this is really interesting. So if we look at, so this is just the hex chart, for example. I mean, you can go and pull up whatever charts you want. But if you look here, let's take this whole range. I mean, this was the top. I mean, from, where is this? This is the beginning of September, clear till, call it mid-October. I mean, you had a month and a half to exit between, what is that, like 36 cents and 50 cents. You had a full month and a half to be able to exit this. Like, it wasn't like a meme coin where you had like a couple of hours to get out before the game was up. Like, you had a good month and a half, and even if you wanted to extend it out, I mean, down here, oh, this is, I mean, and then it even came back up to 30-ish cents in December. So I mean, that's a pretty significant time frame. If you sold the bottom down here, I mean, this is 13 cents in beginning of December. So I mean, you had a solid month and a half to get out here near the top.
And that's a top, Dane. Like that bottom there, 13 cents is still significantly up on almost everyone's bags who got in before that bull run.
Right.
Significant. I mean, you had a very long, like maybe 6 months or 7 months there, if not longer, of time frame where you could have got out in significant profit.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So what is that? I mean, you're up it's like a 27-ish X. I don't think I measured that right. But yeah, to your point exactly. You're up as long as you bought, I mean, before, let's see, you would have been up or even as long as you bought before. You would have had to have bought in early December 2020.
That's crazy.
And then if you waited a year, you'd have been even. It's really interesting. It's so important to try to get some of this timing right. It'll be fascinating to see who can get it relatively right this next cycle. Yeah, it'll be interesting. Uh, Great point. Some founders took the money because they're noobs with no development background and no hex to keep them in our community.
That's some rumor that I've heard before, though. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I would even say so. There was an interesting thread going around this weekend where people are funny, man. I think it's interesting in the Richard Hart ecosystem. There's still this narrative where people want to judge others based on like how long they're staked and how much hex they have. Look, I don't care how much hex you had and how much you were staked. If you had people go and gift you millions of dollars, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to take that money and run. They're just going to be tempted, and they're going to be out. They still have their stakes. Like that they're not, those two things aren't correlated in my opinion.
Except for that, you could kind of say that they were a noob to crypto, and they're coming in to just basically take people's money. I mean, you got thieves in every single niche, and every single, we have it in real estate. We got it in real estate. You have it in e-commerce. You have it in business. You obviously have it in crypto because crypto is not regulated. And so it'll be interesting to see Blockchain Trends, who was because I think that's where he's kind of tying it in too, saying that these noobs that have no development background, no hex, meaning that they had no previous community. So they just came in, meaning they were suspect already by coming in and not having any previous community. And that could show that, they were here with ill intent.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's a fair point. The only reason I mentioned the stake links because it proves when you locked and if you trusted RH and hex.
True. And that's what I meant. Like, there's your only gauge of like, hey, is this guy like, is he somebody who we could trust? Is it somebody who's been in the community? Is it somebody who might have our best interests? Unfortunately, when they're coming from the side, coming out of the middle of nowhere, it doesn't mean they're necessarily going to be thieves or they have ill intent, but I would say the likelihood might be a little bit higher.
Yeah. And I would even say, man, like there's just not, for all intents and purposes, I mean, it doesn't sound like there's many good blockchain developers. And so trying to develop something, I mean, you could even go as far as say, and I've heard this too, where people are like, well, there was millions of dollars sacrificed for some of these protocols. Why didn't they just hire more devs and do some of that stuff? I mean, I would, hiring developers is a monster. I should say can be a monster activity if that's not a sphere that you're already really comfortable. And I would argue that I think a lot of these protocols set out with a pretty ambitious goal, probably most of them with like pure intentions. but pulling it off is a whole other ball game. And I just don't think most have the skills to be able to pull that
Yeah,
off.
I would say we could even see Hexicans who have been in the community since day one, not deliver what was promised.
Right.
We could see it on both ends. Yeah, it's that's why you have to be really careful investing out of the layer one, man. I mean, I went a little too heavy in some of my sacrifices pre-launch. I wish I could have taken some of that back, not all of it, but some of it, and just put it in Pulse, man. I just rather have it in Pulse, and the more economic energy I can get in Pulse, the better I feel for this market cycle. It's just yeah. If I could
You
play
feel like, especially at these levels, it's more of a sure bet than almost all the other
almost
things that we
anything,
like out there.
almost anything except for maybe Hex, because Hex could run harder and Pulse, at least in the short term or maybe in the long term. I don't know. I have no idea. But like definitely than a lot of these one-off freaking sacks that people did for, I don't know, man. It's I if I could play my hand differently in the last couple of years, obviously I would. But it's a learning game, right? We sit back and learn, and if it happens again in our crypto journey, we know how to play the game a little bit smarter this time.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, always growing. Yeah, so certainly, I mean, using LP providing, pairing your Pulse or your other things in a pool with stables. Now, keep in mind too, and I'd heavily recommend going and figuring out how the single-sided liquidity providing, for instance, if
Yeah.
that's something that you're interested in doing, going and seeing how that works with just a little bit of money, because it can go poorly, and
We've had it happen.
we have had that happen. So yeah, I'd say like take just a small amount of, if this is something you're interested in going in, and I mean you can go over and test out with just a small amount to be able to see how all of that works. But I mean, it's not a foolproof, way to be able to go ahead and do what you need to do. So yeah, go and test it out. But it's a cool tool if used properly.
Yeah. Agreed.
Absolutely. Cool. So yeah, circle back. So the things that we like the most are going to be the Richard Hart stuff. I'm with you, Corey. I feel the best about Pulse. Feel the best about throwing large chunks of money at that, especially at the level that we're at right now. I feel very confident that in a 6 months or a year, 18 months, 2 years out from now, that I'll be up on those positions and probably up pretty substantially, as long as I'm willing to be patient. And it's been nice to be able to do more validating. It forces you can't go and pull your positions easily and redistribute some of that stuff. So
Oh yeah, that's probably one of my favorite things since I've got into this whole crypto journey that I've been on is my node validators, man. I'm just loving watching it grow, and it's just doing its thing 24/7. Very similar to like how Hex staking is, but like then not the same. It's just a different type of staking, different element, different. I love both. I love Hex and for what it does, and I love Pulse for what it does, and it's freaking just awesome, man. And yeah, I'm gonna keep DCAing and compounding that Pulse, and just watching it grow for me. Back to the going into the layer one versus other protocols, you also got to look at the risk versus reward. You are putting a lot more risk. And remember, crypto's already risky. It's freaking risky, man. This shit is like, it can go to zero anytime, right? This is risky stuff that we play with. We believe in it. And so we're comfortable with the risk because we know what we're dealing with and we've done the due diligence. We've done the homework. But it's still risky at the end of the day. And so, like, if I'm already playing in a highly speculative, highly risky atmosphere, why am I going to go into the riskiest of the risky in that atmosphere? Why not go in a little bit more safer, where I should get some pretty decent gains, and why not play there? And so that's also the way I look at it too, man. When I'm thinking about like buying these, these protocols that are all launching and how I should break up my portfolio, it's like, man, I need to have like 95% into the stuff that's that's basically the foundation of the ecosystem.
Yeah, agreed. So here's kind of like my core, my blue chips. I'd say Pulsechain is my favorite. I would say that I've got some PulseX. I've got we've got our PHEX
Yeah, I love my PHEX.
yeah,
Love it.
love the PX. Most of that stuff is all staked, which is great. That's kind of my core. Would you add? Are there any other things outside of that that you would say is like core for you? I'm starting to feel.
I
I'm
mean,
starting to feel more and more towards the pH stuff, and maybe I'll
that's
eat my
still
words.
not core for me.
You don't feel that way?
Yeah, not core, not
Okay.
blue chip, not blue chip, man.
Would you
Yeah.
say Aave over on Ethereum is a blue chip asset?
Now, because it's been around for long enough, and obviously there are direct forks, so we should see the exact same thing with those guys. But I mean, I know where you're going with it, and I get it, but
I think you go either way. Yeah.
yeah. And don't get me wrong, I picked a nice high sea creature on the chart, right? Of the 1%, 0.1, 0.001. I picked a nice high one to attain to, and I went and reached it. And then I'm like, okay, I put that away. I've reached my goal. I'm not going to sell it. I'm not going to grow it anymore. It's just sitting there. And when the staking comes out, I'll go and put it I'll stake it and then let it do its thing, right? And so like it's there. It's probably one of my favorites out of all the ecosystem besides Icosa. I think Icosa has got some serious cards up its sleeve. I think Alex does. I think he's going to come out with swinging, and it's going to do amazing. I could be wrong. Who knows? But between Alex and Buck, those are my two guys who I in the more speculative assets that I love.
Is there anything else you'd add to the core, or is that kind of the core for you?
Man, I've gotten so conservative now because of getting burned in freaking Pulse Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what do I do? I mean, like, I'm researching stuff. You
Right.
know, I'm always doing due diligence and looking at new protocols. But obviously, you know, God, man, I don't know, man. Obviously, you guys know I like Tetra, and I don't have any. It's not out yet, so I have nothing that I can say about that really, except for that I got high hopes. And then you got all Alex stuff. You got perpetuals. I like perpetuals. I don't own perpetuals, but one could argue that could be part of their core portfolio. If somebody's going to go out and create a staking ladder, you could just go buy the perpetuals. Now, there's not a lot of liquidity, and I hate that part. And I hate like
you just can't get in.
I feel like they don't trade. But you could argue you could stack that into your portfolio and make that part of it, and I think that's a perfect plan if that's your game. I don't particular vibe with the perpetuals, but I do own a little pool. Here's the cool part about the perpetuals. This is fun. In Fux, you could buy all the perpetuals plus Hex and put it in an LP position and earn Fux. So you basically have a staking ladder. Think about it. You got a staking ladder inside Fux, earning you more free money. So that part's cool. I love
cool,
that.
yeah.
Like, and I have a little position there just for that concept because when I kind of wrapped my head around that, I was like, whoa, this is cool. I can have a staking ladder that I'm making Fux, like money on top, yield on top of my yield. And so that's a fun idea to flirt with. So yeah, other than that, man, it's tough, man. I don't know what else. Oh, I mean,
yeah, so there's your Maximus perps.
yeah,
pool.
there's the perps.
In fact, if you wanted to just buy this, I wonder.
You should be able to. You should be able to buy just the LP token.
Let's see.
What was the name of it?
It's the Maximus perps.
Oh, that's the name of the LP token. Okay,
Let's
there it is.
I wonder how liquid it is.
Well, that's Pulse. You're buying it from.
Well, maybe I don't know what it's paired with.
Maybe try buying it. See, because it should be
mostly
routed.
Paired in Pulse, right?
It should be, but you should be able to buy it with DAI.
Let's try that.
It should auto route it. Like try buy $1,000. Let's see what $1,000 is. Not enough liquidity.
There's no liquidity in any of those.
So there's a one problem that I always have with it is the freaking liquidity. I mean, it's been an issue since day one.
Oh,
But
hold
if
on.
I were to buy the perp stain, I wouldn't be buying them to basically trade. I'd buy them because I'd want the OT share rate that the perps obtained, and then buying them because I'm basically going to wait out the hex. So I really like the base, and I like Lucky. I think it's Lucky. No, it's Trio. Trio. I like base and Trio because base is coming up and it's due here in like 5 months, which is great because you can just roll it over, or you can take your hex, whatever you want to do. Or you have Trio. Trio is a funny one. It lands you in October of 2025. Well, what's in 2025? Probably somewhere near the top. So that could be an interesting one if you wanted to hold one of the perpetuals and try to wait through, till the time is due to get your hex. I mean, the Trio, man, is probably one of my favorites. I don't own any besides what's in the that pool you just shown. So I don't own any, but like if I were to go down that rabbit hole, I would like to get Trio and base. That would be me personally, and maybe a little bit of Maxi, because the Maxi is the 15-year with the you get Hedron with that one. You get the old T-share rate, which was a T-share rate back then was like 19,000 per T-share. It was way back in the day when I first got into the ecosystem, not too long after that. And so like that's like buying back in time, but so was like the HSI stakes too. So it's all what's your fancy, right? And I love HSI stakes. I have those. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you. I haven't heard any more updates about Alex and Rocket Pool. He likes to keep his cards really close to his chest. Have you heard any new updates, Corey?
From what I understand, he's not going to fork the exact code, but he's got something in the back burner. It's coming.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a lot of things, dude. The guy's like, I mean, that guy, man, he is a builder. He's got things, man. Like I see something new on Twitter all the time where he's like, I'm thinking about doing this. What do you guys think? It's like you see that a lot.
He's got some philanthropic thing that he's talking about.
I saw that.
Yeah. Either yesterday or today. Yeah, he's got something. That's crazy.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Yep. Yeah, Buck has a plan. I agree. We're big fans of Buck and his team over here. Good guys. Well, that's probably a good place to wrap it up for today. Is there anything else you want to add, Corey, before we do?
No, man, that's it. I will be traveling this week, so I won't be on every stream this week. I'm leaving the island Thursday and be back in Arizona, and so yeah.
Cool. Maybe we'll just do like Tuesday and Wednesday this week then.
Yeah, something like that. Maybe Friday. I love if I'm back and I'm all settled back in. I love the open mic days. Those are always a blast.
Those are fun. Yep. Okay, cool guys. Well, thanks for tuning in. Smash the like, subscribe, notifications, all those things on your way out. We're here to pump everybody's bag. We appreciate you tuning in. With that, we will see you later this week.